Hey Richmond, how you
Hey,
doing?
what's up, man? How are you doing?
I'm good.
Glad to hear it. Got my mic set up. We're good to go. We're good and rolling. I don't even know if it does anything, but it looks good, right? That's what it's
Yep.
worth.
Yeah, no, you sound good.
Ah, thank you. Well, welcome to the Wag Pod. We have Austin of Link by Lasso, and you are in the midst of your second iteration of your prototype for not an e-collar, but a vibration only kind of dog collar that is similar to an idea of like kind of Siri voice activation for dog training. So, you want to just hop in and tell us, what kind of started this journey for you.
Yeah. So really the idea for Lasso is just the core of the company is just that we feel that the interactions that we have with the animals in our lives could be one easier, more intuitive, and just
Yeah.
better for both us and the animals. So our first kind of stab into alleviating this problem is was Link, like you said. So Link was the idea behind Link came from training our own dog. He was a rescue, a pit bull.
Yeah.
We tried everything. We tried oh,
You also had a husky, right?
yep, yeah. I have a husky. I've had him for 13 years, and then
Okay. But he's
but
a little
yeah,
more well behaved, right?
yes, yeah. He wasn't at first. It took a long time
Yeah.
for him. I'm his third
So,
owner, so it
oh,
was
really?
it was a yeah. He kind of had a rough start, but he's great now. He's retired, like we say, but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's been a journey with both of them for sure.
Definitely. So it was mainly kind of the rescued pit bull that you noticed there was kind of an issue with training, or what exactly was that?
Yeah, yeah. So it was the pit bull. We tried just about everything we could to train him because he was very reactive. It was difficult to take him on walks. We just felt like his life wasn't great, our life wasn't great, so we tried everything we could, and eventually we bit the bullet and we spent almost 2 grand on a trainer, a professional
Yeah.
trainer. It was our
Yeah.
last option,
And this
and
was this in because I know you moved to Arizona, right? That's
yep,
where you
yeah, it
are
was.
now.
Yeah, this is in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm
Okay.
originally from California near Sacramento.
Gotcha.
Very small town.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the trainer worked wonders for us. And it was the things that they suggested were pretty clear. And what
Yep.
was great was that they laid out a clear plan for us and they were there every week. So we stayed on top of the training.
Sure.
Somebody was accountable and
Yeah.
it was great. But one of the issues that I found was it was, if it's so expensive. 2 grand is not something that a lot
That's
of people.
not chump change right there.
No, no, it was a really hard decision for us to
Yeah.
make financially, and a lot of people just can't do that.
Right.
So so that was one issue, cost, and then two, we were using an e-collar, and I know my wife and I we were against e-collars.
Hmm.
I know a lot of people are. It's not for every dog,
Sure.
but it really helped us give a better life to our dog, and
Definitely.
um,
Do you want to break down a little bit what an
yeah.
e-collar is?
Yeah, so an e-collar, or shock collar, as people call them, it's kind of the wrong term.
Yeah.
It's more like a stem collar. Uh,
Hmm.
it's something I like to compare it to, and that the industry compares it to, are the stem devices that you would use for like when you go to the chiropractor or
Yeah.
recovering from some sort of injury.
Right.
It
I've had those. They
shocks your
put those
muscle.
like pads on you and it's like bzz, bzz.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, you can speak to it. It's not so much as like a shock that you'd feel when you're, I don't know, working on the lights at your house.
Exact. Yeah. Not
It's
like I just walk into an electrical fence and I'm just laying
yes,
like face down on the ground there. It's
exactly. I mean, you can turn it way up to where it does feel painful,
sure.
but when if you're trained with how to use it correctly, it's just a very low stimulation, almost like a
And
tap.
oftentimes there's like a clicker where it's just vibration and then you can go up into like higher levels. Is that right? For the
Yeah, yeah,
e-collars?
exactly. Yeah, I'm glad you brought up vibration. So, yeah, with those, they do have a vibration option, and it's typically only one level of vibration. It's a really strong vibration motor in there. So I was trained at least to use that as a last resort because it's very aversive to the dog. Um,
Gotcha.
but so the problem I had with that is I had two dogs, both were using e-collars.
Hmm.
So two dogs, two remotes, and I was walking them, and I'm trying to fumble.
That's a lot to manage
Remotes.
right there.
Yeah, two remotes, two leashes. It's a recipe for disaster. And I was like, why isn't this easier? This is complicated for me. It's complicated for the dogs. I'm missing training opportunities. I'm sending mixed signals.
Yep.
And I was like, why can't I just control them with my voice? And that's what led me to developing. I have a prototype here,
Yeah.
Link. It's a voice controlled vibration only collar. And what's cool is the vibration is scalable. So
Cool.
like I said, the e-collar has one vibration setting. It's
Right.
usually pretty aversive to the dog.
Right.
But
Is
with
there
this,
a specific e-collar that people tend to go with, or does it, or across all e-collars, is it pretty standard to have just one level of vibration?
from what I've seen, it's just one level vibration,
Okay.
but I'm more relying on the stem.
So
There
the
is
stem is more helpful in current e-collars than the vibration.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there is one company, I forget the name of it. They make the e-collars as well, stimulation collars, and they do a vibration only collar. That's what
Okay.
they, I've only seen one.
Sure.
Uh, but yeah, for companies, Dogtra is probably the biggest that makes
Hmm.
e-collars. They make really great devices. They're all
Yeah.
water super reliable. That's what we use.
Yeah.
Uh, and then I always recommend to get one of those because they actually have 100, 127 um, scales or intensity
Jeez.
levels. So you can
Yeah.
really, really fine tune
Yeah.
your.
Find exactly where you need, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And we tried, before going there, we tried a cheap one on Amazon,
Yeah.
but they just don't cut it.
Sure.
They're not as, yeah, they're just not as effective as like the
Of
full.
course. And so your prototype, we are looking at your office right now, right? You built that
Yep.
in there and yeah,
Yep.
take me through that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so this is just my garage, and I've been working in here on this for about a year and a half. So I've been in here through the peak of summer. We're just
Yeah.
starting to get back in there. It gets to about 90 degrees in here. So
You need to invest in a fan or build one or something, right?
it's yeah, I have a portable AC unit right here, but it
Mhm.
it it, it
Don't
helps a
help
little
that
bit.
much.
Yeah,
You're
but
competing against Phoenix, Arizona weather. It's
yeah, yeah, yeah. But the garage setup, I started with actually it's my test bench right here. I started with just some simple basic electronic tools, an oscilloscope, power supply. And then eventually you can see it kind of right over here. Got the 3D printers, and I actually built
sweet.
a plastic injector because
Yeah,
the dream was to do all of these in-house,
right,
make them super affordable for the average person.
right.
Um, and yeah, just do everything here. Eventually, would move to an office if things worked out, but
Sure,
start
sure.
here.
And you knew how, so you did an electrical engineering degree, is that right?
Yep. Yeah, I got my degree in electrical engineering from the University of Nevada, Reno.
Cool.
I also got my MBA there, and then
Nice.
finished that in 2019. Moved out to
Yeah.
Phoenix, Arizona with my now wife.
Yeah. And you now you were working, was it like an electrical and like was it like a car company that you were working at before? Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I've had a I've had a couple jobs here. My first job right out of school was with a an audiovisual company, so
Yeah.
installing projectors. It was a terrible job, but a
Yeah.
great first one.
Sure, sure. I mean, just getting something, right? To pay some sort of bills.
Yeah, yeah, great experience.
Yeah.
But then the EV company, the electric
Hmm.
vehicle company, they were called Atlas Motor Vehicles.
Nice.
Super fun job, great company to work for.
Yeah.
It's a startup, it's super risky with EVs, so they're no longer around to
Right.
understanding. Um, yeah, and I was in the first round of layoffs with them. They did
Right.
two rounds and then closed up shop.
And then yeah. And so once that happened, you kind of wanted to go in your own like entrepreneurial path. Is that right? And you started to kind of try to work for yourself. Is that with Lasso?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I right after the job, I started applying like crazy because my wife, we knew we wanted a baby soon,
Yeah.
and
And the baby's here now, is that right?
Yeah, baby's here now.
Congrats.
She's
Congrats
9 months.
again. I know we mentioned that earlier, but that's exciting stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, she's 9 months old. She was born in July, so
Yeah,
up on a year. It's wild.
that is. That is.
But yeah, after losing that job, I worked for, or I was applying for a few other jobs, and
Mhm.
I always knew I wanted to try to start something, and it just felt like the right time to go for it. And my wife said,
Definitely.
"Yeah, let's do it."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it brought us here.
Exactly. Now, do you think your MBA kind of helped inspire that, or is that something that you've always felt like all the way along that, hey, I kind of want to be able to do something myself or make something myself?
Yeah. I would know the NBA it helped, but what I don't know what really inspired it. I guess seeing my grandpa was an entrepreneur,
Oh,
my
cool.
stepdad was an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So seeing them, build things and kind of do things on their own and make
Yeah.
make an impact really inspired me. Yeah, I remember reading it was on a family vacation. My mom remarried into a family of I think we were 9 kids total. So
Wow.
we yeah, it was a big family. So we would do a lot of RV trips because
Sure.
it's just
Oh,
more economical.
RVs, that's a good way to do a trip. We did one in Alaska a while back. I didn't appreciate it as much as I was younger, but they're fun.
Where were you going from? Because you're on the East Coast, right?
Yeah, my dad, I don't know why, he just got super into us going do like an RV trip in Alaska. So we just like flew out there and I know we went to Anchorage and I think Juneau. And then we went on like a Disney cruise afterwards. So, but yeah, I mean those like big I guess I only have one sister, but having those kind of cramped spaces, they're kind of fun, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of a good way to spend some time. And that kind of led to you being, I don't know, just spending time with them and then being inspired by, your stepdad, you said, and your
Yeah.
grandpa as well.
Yeah, well, it was on one of these trips. It was I think Steve Jobs' biography had come out.
Yeah.
I remember
I thought you were
I
gonna say Steve Jobs is my grandpa. And I was like, huh?
oh no.
No, no. I'm just
No,
kidding.
that would be wild.
That'd be sick.
No, but his biography came out and
Mhm.
I loved Apple products. I bought the first iPod Nano,
Yeah.
saved up all my allowance for it
Yeah.
was like 2 years worth. Bought the first iPod Nano in fourth
Sure.
grade. What am I going to do with this?
Right.
But so I loved Apple. I appreciated Steve Jobs. I read his biography and I was like, wow, somebody, that kind of came from nothing can do something big and help a lot of people. It was
Right.
really inspiring.
Definitely.
And that's what I think that's probably what also helped a lot with
Yeah, definitely.
his
So,
mission.
well, break down the link for me. I know you brought it up right there real quick, but tell me a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so it's it's pretty I mean it's complete. I thought it was complete. I thought this would be the final iteration of it
Yeah.
and we launched it publicly for pre-sales. We haven't sold any
Hmm.
yet. It's just not ready yet.
Sure.
We've done some user testing. We've got a lot of feedback
Hmm.
and I don't think that this product is going to help us achieve that mission of making interacting with our animals easier, more intuitive and better.
Right.
So
Right.
I it's unfortunate, but I think we're going to shelve this project, this device specifically
Yeah.
for now.
Yeah.
And I've actually for the past 2 weeks been just going back to the drawing board, going back to basics, and
Definitely.
getting out there and talking with our potential users.
Sure.
I've interviewed maybe like 25 users in person just at dog parks around the area, just
Sure.
to really find what issues are they having with
Right.
products. Because
Right.
I made a couple mistakes with this.
Sure.
I think have led it to ultimately not being so great that
Right.
I don't want to do for the next thing.
Definitely. Well, I mean, so the ultimate goal with it was to have a vibration setting, right? Where, say your dog, what's your dog's name?
Micah, Micah's the
Micah.
yeah.
So you say Micah, and then what the I don't know anything about electrical
Oh
engineering.
yeah.
I guess the device itself recognizes that, and then from there, when you say different commands such as sit, lay down, the idea is that they would have a buzz whenever that happens. Is that
Yep, exactly. So the how it would work is On our website, you would give us your dog's name and
Mhm.
up to 20 commands you want it to recognize. We program it all. It arrives at your door ready to go. There's not even an off button on it because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
meant to be always worn and just ready and available for you.
Mhm.
Uh, so yeah, how it works is it starts off, every command starts off at a baseline vibration intensity, call it like zero,
Okay.
zero intensity. And then as you interact with your dog, each command intensity will scale up or down based on how often you have to repeat the command.
Okay.
So like if
It's
you
almost learning. You're like teaching the link itself.
exactly, yeah, yeah, I wanted to make it as easy to use as possible for the average person
Right.
to where you didn't need extensive training to use the device. It was very intuitive and natural to use.
Sure. So let me ask this. Let's say I was over at your house and I started saying, "Hey, Micah," would that recognize, or would that only be paired to your voice or to the owner's
Good,
voice?
good question. So it works with anyone's voice.
Okay.
So that way you don't have to have that way because most people have many people in their home, like
Sure.
boyfriend,
Yeah, like
girlfriend,
kids. You
wife,
have kids,
kids.
right? You don't want to just be trained to your voice. Yeah.
Exactly. So it interacts with all of them. Um, and to help prevent one of the issues with this is false positives where it thinks you're giving a command, but you're really not. That's probably the one of the biggest issues with this.
Definitely. Because you could be
Uh,
talking casually about your dog, right? And be like, oh, like, look how cute Micah looks. But then, you know what I'm saying? There could be some sort of
exactly,
overlap or unintentional thing, right?
exactly. Yeah, and we could spend a lot of time developing this, adding more microphones, building our own voice recognition model, but ultimately, I don't know if this is the right product, and we don't want to strap it to a dog if they're getting those false positive. It's
Of
not a good
course.
training
And
environment.
so how is it kind of, I guess, how do you work through, hey, I've spent a lot of time on this and, this came out and remember you mentioned, the feedback overall wasn't super positive, right?
Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
and that's kind of tough to work through. And how did you kind of take that as a way to, hey, all right, let's pivot, let's keep working on this rather than like, hey, I want to call it quits on this, because
That's yeah,
yeah.
that's a good question. I mean, honestly, I started probably publicly talking about this maybe 2 months ago,
And
possibly.
what does that look like publicly talking about it? Because I know you have an Instagram, but other than that, what does that kind of look like for you?
Yeah, yeah, I'm kind of stumbling my way through and just learning as I go, but
Sure.
it's launching the website completely, getting rid of just the coming soon page, posting on Instagram
Mhm.
videos, and then YouTube, TikTok, and then giving it to people to test out.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, and the feedback was not good. I think we got one positive comment.
Yeah.
So that of course was hard, but
Sure.
then after kind of licking my wounds and going back and looking at them, I'm like, these people I think are right. I think that you, this isn't that great for training a dog.
Right.
And the way that I programmed it was the way that we were trained to use our e-collars.
Right.
You would say a command, then you hit the stem every time. But I found out that a lot of people don't train like that.
Right. There's a
So
lot of different variations in
yes,
training, and something that may work for you won't necessarily work for everyone else, right?
yeah, exactly. And that was a huge lesson learned for me that I thought I knew what I was doing, but definitely did not. And if I would have went to users really early on, I could have discovered that my assumptions were wrong, and it
Right.
would have saved a lot of time.
Sure. But I
So
think you've also like, I don't know, I feel like you've had to hone and practice a lot of skills in building those stereotypes. You've had to, put yourself out there by, I mean, I
yeah,
run my Instagram. I don't like doing it, right? But Instagram, social media, TikTok, building your website, you're getting a lot of practice and it kind of allows you to get your focus a little bit more narrow in the sense of like, hey, this is what I want to achieve directly, but also realizing like, because it sounds like, hey, maybe I can build a product that will help people regardless of how they train in their training, right?
Yeah, that's ultimately what we want to make, something more like that, more
Sure,
versatile, I guess. You know, not as
sure.
prescriptive, not like you have to train how we're telling you to. Because yeah, that was just the wrong assumption to make.
Right, but at the same time, I think it's important not to be, overly hard on yourself. Like work in the summer in the heat in your garage and built something. And I think the important thing is like I said, you've honed a lot of skills, you've
Mhm.
sharpened a lot of tools, and you had that ultimate realization of like, hey, maybe we should go user first this time. And that's sounds like that's what you've been doing, right?
Definitely. Yeah, yeah. My biggest advice to anyone who's trying to start something is make sure that, I mean, it sounds so obvious, but make sure that there's a problem there that
Yeah.
solution solves, and then test that solution too. I mean, it sounds like duh,
No,
but
I think it's
hard.
good too. I think also, in my earlier stages, and I'm still very early, we're like 5 months in, but what I kind of realized is that oftentimes I would be creating problems for people that weren't necessarily actually there and then offering solutions that they didn't need to these. Like, for
Mm.
example, when I was trying to get my some friends to join, like, hey, like, you'd be able to do this, this, and this. Well, maybe they're happy with what they're doing right now. And so like the same kind of thing, like, I think that e-collar, I think there's something to it there. I think now you just kind of have to take what you've learned and start to apply it and go back, like you said, back to the drawing board.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, and that's been hard. It was really hard at first. Maybe the first 3 days. It's like, okay, let's apply for let's get a real job now, and time to get serious. Let's scrap this. But then, my wife's a huge supporter, and she just says, like keep at it. She's very positive, and
Yeah.
just keep working the problem. You'll figure it out. And I have some mentors and family friends that have been really helpful and just
Nice.
refocusing me and yeah,
Nice.
being there for support. A lot of friends,
Yeah.
but
It's
yeah,
kind of a lot of it, man, isn't it? Having a support group. I think, when I've talked to a lot of people, like, sure, there's a dog community out there and you can get tapped into that and that can be good. But oftentimes that's more of an employee or, client relationship versus like having people who like believe in you, your close family and friends. It can make all the difference between, like you said, just putting up shop after 3 days versus
yeah,
like, hey, I'm gonna keep going on this and see what happens.
yeah, no, definitely. And it's funny, I started going to this like entrepreneur meetup group,
Nice.
and that's totally out of my comfort zone too. But
Sure.
started going to that after this was starting to fail, just to see what's out there, see if I can help anyone with
Hmm.
anything. And the very first person I talked to, I was telling him about the struggles I'm having with this, and he gave me the pep talk I needed to hear. It
Yeah.
was really weird. Like,
No, I think
yeah,
there's it's funny. I think sometimes, your family and friends can end up being a little biased, right? They're always going to want to
oh, for
love and
sure.
support you and give you, but like when you're talking to a complete stranger or a new person or someone who may become your friend and they like give you a compliment, it takes you back. I mean, I had a guy who, and we're going to do an episode together later, but he just a super nice guy. And he was like, man, what you're doing is really cool. And like, sometimes I'm so straight and narrow about like what I need to get done or this and this and that, or like focusing on the defeats, right? Like, hey, maybe we don't have as many dog walking clients in Raleigh as we need. But when you hear that from like a stranger, it can completely turn things around 180.
Yeah, yeah, because it feels objective, I guess more. It's like I
Definitely.
don't do that well, but I see what you're doing, and it's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, it
Yeah.
helps a lot. Definitely.
So what's next for you in terms of okay, so we have this device and I think, I realize I've learned a lot, making it but now do you go to dog parks and talk to them about the device or are you kind of coming up with new ideas and pitching them to people?
Hmm. Yeah, so I hate to say it, but I think this device is dead, and we're just gonna shelve it for now. Maybe
Yeah,
it'll come back when the
sure.
technology's right. We have
Yeah.
more support, but
I think that's a hard thing to do because it's
yeah,
been your project for so long, but I think it's a mature way to look at it, right?
yeah, yeah. I think you have to because I mean it's kind of it's kind of crude, but if this is a failure, you don't want to keep spending resources and time on something that's just failing. So,
Exactly. The
but
sunk cost fallacy, right?
yep. So yeah, right now what I'm doing is trying to get as much feedback on not so much feedback, I mean, but more just talking to dog owners and seeing what challenges they have. Um, so I've been going to just dog parks, approaching people and just asking if they have a few
Yeah.
minutes to talk, see what kind of problems they're having. And it's interesting. I'm starting to see a pattern uh, with the problems that everyone's facing, and it's
Yeah.
looks like it's three things. One is consistency. It's like it's almost like going to the gym. You got to go
You got to
every
go.
day and just work at it and work at it and work at it. And
Right.
it's the same thing with training your dog. It doesn't happen overnight. There's no shortcuts. You just
And you
got to.
can't just send your dog somewhere and when they come back, if you don't continue those, training
Yeah,
and do what you learned, then it's the $2,000 you spent for, per se will not be worth it, right?
exactly. Yeah, it's they're an animal. There's no magic fix to
Right.
training. It takes work. It's a relationship. So yeah, consistency is one of the biggest problems. Number two is the cost of training.
Hmm.
A lot of people just can't spend the money on uh on training. It's not very accessible.
Right.
And then the last problem is having a clear plan. So if you know that your dog is pulling on the leash whenever you walk, a lot of people have a hard time figuring out, okay, what do I do to fix that?
Right.
And there's a lot of resources, YouTube, online blogs, books, but it's also scattered everywhere, and it's
Definitely.
all mixed it's all mixed recommendations on how to solve it, that it's just
Definitely.
overwhelming for a lot of people.
I'm sure. I mean, I've talked to a couple different dog trainers, and I think they're, from my understanding, there's no, like, sure, there's some certifications that you can kind of get, but there's not necessarily a there's not necessarily a standard. Everyone is going to do their things a little bit differently. So it's almost like, hey, do I choose the winning horse and kind of go with that, or do you try to find out what's best about all of these horses, aka trainers, and
Uh-huh.
kind of go from there, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I really like about what you're doing too, is building a standard
Yeah,
for people to go to get certified. I think that's really
right.
smart.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hope it works out. It's taking a lot of time and stuff,
Oh, I'm sure.
yeah, it, when you want to be able to work for yourself and you want to be able to pursue and Um, similar to you, I want to help people and be involved in the dog community. And so, like for you, does Lasso have a necessary like mission that you're behind, or is that something that's in development? Because I remember when we first talked, and I was like, hey, I know Link is this, but it was, Link by Lasso. Lasso is your company, and Link was just, trying out a new product. So what does Lasso really stand for?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, the whole idea of it was to just make interacting with the animals in your life more intuitive, easy, and
Sure.
better for
Sure.
everyone, better for
And
the
when
animals
you say
too.
animals, specifically usually dogs, or are you working with, cats or other pets that people may have?
The goal and the vision I see is to eventually go to cats, birds, livestock,
Horses,
horses.
right?
Yeah, like any animal they interact with, whether that's getting health metrics on them so that you know before they get seriously sick or injured, you
Sure.
can do something to prevent it. Uh,
Right.
um, maybe it's, I don't know, counting steps for your dog to see are they being active enough, but just,
Yep.
you know, leveraging technology to make our interactions with these animals better and make the animals' lives better.
That's a
So,
noble and innovative cause. I like that a lot, man. That's a
oh,
really
thank you.
good mission to follow behind. And I think sticking with it, you're gonna figure out something. So those three things that, it was, consistency, cost, and then kind of, how everything's scattered and the availability of resources. Um, has this kind of sparked any ideas for you for your next product?
Yeah, and I would love your feedback too, honest feedback.
Sure.
Uh, One, it's just a rough idea. One idea we're thinking about is uh, leveraging AI. So just building a tool around maybe ChatGPT or Claude that would get to know your dog on a personal level, like
Sure.
age, breed, the specific issues that you're going through, and then
Definitely.
it would recommend a step-by-step plan for you.
I think
Uh,
that's a great idea. Well, I'll jump in and say this. When we were first talking about how, um, with the link, how the vibration, like the number of times that you had to say a command or something, it would kind of train itself. I was almost asking, like, is this something you can integrate AI into? Back when we were just first talking about it. And I think, I don't know exactly what that looks like, but, some sort of collar or some sort of, AI. I mean, I think you would be remiss to not consider AI and
yeah,
ChatGPT at all in this current climate, right?
yeah, yeah, and then maybe with this, if this idea pans out and it works, and we're trying to get as much feedback as we can, if
Sure.
that works, maybe a caller in the future integrates with it, and you can see you would use machine learning to maybe see if your dog has a limp, or
Sure.
maybe the temperature is higher than its average. There's a lot of things we could potentially do.
So for you, it's focused now on health metrics more.
No, no, not health metrics. Still, I think that there could be some. I think we could help with training.
Sure.
Health's just another idea of what we could do.
Sure.
Uh, and
Why
yeah,
not do it all, right? Of
eventually, it's just I'm just brainstorming still.
course.
Yeah.
Hey, I have it written on a board right here. It's to catch a big fish, you must cast a wide net, right? So
Uh,
like you just gotta try everything and then something is gonna pan out.
yeah. I say the same thing. I say castaway net.
Yep,
It's
exactly.
uh,
So you're thinking of integrating ChatGPT which will allow you to make a training plan for your dog that's
Mhm.
more effective. Is that kind of the idea behind what's next?
Yeah, possibly. We're
Awesome
still,
idea.
I don't want to make the same mistake I made with this, where I just jump into something and
Sure.
because I get really excited about just building things.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sure you're the same way. It's fun to
Yes.
build things, but
100%.
definitely I definitely want to incorporate the user in the building process
Hmm.
way more
Right.
than just sitting here in the garage. That was a mistake I made. I just sat in the garage, worked, and then
Yeah.
you know, nobody likes it. But
I mean, I think it's tough, but I mean, once again, I mean, I still think it's awesome that you spent the time and you built that and you put your thought into it and you learned from it. It
oh,
just
sure.
there's going to be a lot of things that people do that people don't like, but finding a person who does or taking the advice of someone who likes your stuff or a lot of times behind companies are people, right? Like you mentioned Apple,
Right.
right? There's no Apple without Steve Jobs, and there's going to be no Lasso without you, right? So I think being able to learn and take from that, and kind of move forward. So how has it been tough going to dog parks and talking to people? What does that look like for you? Like, are you like, hey, I need to do this 3 times a week, or what does that kind of look like?
Oh yeah. It's really hard. It's because that's not something I'm comfortable with at all. But I've realized that, like you said earlier, sometimes family is bias. So I can't ask my family members these questions because they're just like, yeah, that's great. What you're working on is great.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's really hard, but I just tell myself, if I want this to work, you have to do it. There's no way
yeah,
around. And yeah, what it looks like is I'm getting out there at like 9 a.m. trying to catch everyone before it gets too hot.
sure.
Just talk to as many people as I can. Um, my minimum is five. I said I have to get five people,
I like that.
and that takes like 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours just to get five people.
Yeah. In terms of like the pressure that you feel going to talk to them, or like people being willing to chat.
Oh, it takes that long just because people are so willing to chat and they have a lot
Oh,
of
cool.
information.
So
Yeah,
they
and
really
it's
want
kind
to
of
kind
hard
of
to
help.
find
Yeah.
them. Yeah, it's hard to find uh, dog owners, as weird as that sounds. There's not too many at the dog park.
Oh, really?
At least here, maybe because it's starting to approach the hotter times of the year. But
Yeah, and I imagine like, are there big dog park areas around you, or is that like a pretty common thing?
Yeah, there's a surprising amount. So yesterday, for example, I made this flyer. So
Hey,
it's a survey that we made, and
nice.
I printed about 50 of them and went to
Yeah,
just 10 dog parks, just posted them up,
nice.
hoping to get at least 100 people responding. So far,
Oh, definitely.
I think we have nine.
You know
So
what? That's
long way to
not,
go.
yeah, that's inspiring for me because my partner has sent us our flyers that I need to go out this week and go put them up and go into breweries. And I mean, that's honestly another huge place that might be considered. Like people go to breweries with their dogs all the time. Like putting a flyer up there, that could be kind of cool. Or like, people have a couple beers in them, they're gonna want to, share just
Yeah,
a little bit more.
that's a really good idea. Different demographic too.
100%. Yeah. And, I mean, I think, yeah, dog parks are awesome, but I think sometimes they're almost, you don't see a dog park that's, at least around me, that's necessarily filled all the time, right? You might have like a scattering of some people bringing in, but dude, kudos to you for doing that and putting yourself out there because like, I think that's one thing that I've learned is just showing up makes a huge difference. Like I wouldn't have met my partner Kellen if I wouldn't have just like, gone to these workouts where, my dad does and I met Kellen through that and I wouldn't have, and then I planned a poker night and then he happened to be there and he's like, here's a 25-cent chip. That's your first invest, just messing around. But
Yeah,
like all that kind of stuff. And then like, I've done things that I look back, like we had this Christmas party kind of thing where I got everything together, all these people, and like then I came in and I was almost just like pitching the idea in different like focus groups kind of thing. And I look back sometimes like, man, I'm embarrassed that I did that. But also like who knows? Like
yeah,
I look back and not sometimes I'm just kind of like, man, I've put myself out there too much, or I've done this, or I've posted this, or I fall. You just got to do it. It sucks. It
yeah.
sucks. You got
Gotta
to
do.
text people and you have to do it. And I mean, once again, we just met recently. Proud of you for putting yourself out there because
Thanks, man.
I know that's hard to
It's
do.
tough. Yeah,
And I'm a pretty extroverted person, so I can, I'll go up and I say to myself like before, I'm like, no shame. You just gotta go in and do it, And
yeah.
I know like, I'm assuming you're a little bit more introverted, and
Oh yeah,
putting yourself out there just time and time again and showing up, something's gonna happen. I
yeah,
truly believe that.
yeah. I agree. And I don't know about you, but it gets easier every time. The first time it's like it's horrible, and you in your brain you imagine up this whole terrible scenario of how it's going to go, and it
Of
doesn't go
course.
ever. And then
Yeah.
the next time it's a little easier, and the next time it's a little easier. And yeah, I don't know about you, but it actually makes me a lot happier just being out there talking to people, learning.
100%.
Yeah,
Because if you, I don't know, if you approach situations like, hey, I know everything there is to know about this and that, you're losing on so much knowledge, you know? And I think that people can often have that when they first start, their own thing. And then when you're at your stage where you're almost in the learning phase more than you've learned before and a
oh
completely
yeah,
different level.
definitely.
I mean, that's when you can start to see some cool results. So are you, with you're having people reach out and are you setting up kind of a focus group or is that what are you doing with the flyers?
Yeah, so I'm trying just to still understand what the main problems of owning a dog, training a dog are, what the
Sure.
biggest issues are. And then I'm also in the survey kind of teasing that idea that I just told you about.
Yeah.
See what just people's initial responses, seeing if they want to be added to a wait list, and hopefully get some beta testers. And then if enough people like this idea, the next phase would be to mock up something really crude and quick.
Sure.
Yeah,
And see
just to
how it
test and
goes.
iterate quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a really messy, fast website.
Yeah.
Just that tests the initial idea.
That's awesome, man. All right, we are under a minute, so just Austin, want to thank you for your time today, and really excited to stay in touch and hear about all that you're going to achieve, man.
Yeah, same. Same, and thank you for having me. This has been a lot of fun. And I'm
Absolutely.
excited
All
to see
right.
what happens with WildWorks too.
Yes, sir. All right, I'll talk to you later.